Hi everyone, and welcome to the weekly predictions based on astrology for the week of August 31st, 2020. So for the days of the week, in terms of the stock market direction, I believe it will be a down week. So pretty much a down day for every day of the week. That's primarily for Dow Jones and also NASDAQ. In terms of the important influences to highlight for this week, for individual days of the week, as I mentioned before, August is a tense month, and it will unfortunately be the case even through the early September, where we will have increased probability of various accidents, of course protests, various disasters and unrests, angry clashes, and basically all kinds of other problems. Maybe athletes who are, say, racers or fighters or any sort of military personnel or leaders who are in the public eye, they will all have increased probability of suffering from either some sort of an attack or basically being hurt in an accident. And let's see. And for the end of the month, and that includes the 31st of August, there will be increased news regarding financial institutions, banks, earnings, assets, etc. And that may come in the context of some sort of manipulative activities, maybe tax avoidance, or some hidden money, problems with some hidden money, or like I said, avoiding perhaps paying some penalties, death, loss, concerns about earnings, rates, etc. And this may particularly come again about where we're talking about companies that deal with maybe oil or chemicals, pharmaceuticals, drugs, as well as music, photography, etc. And there may also be concerns if there's like a sale or negotiation among companies in this area. That sale or that negotiation may not necessarily be finalized, or it may not go as well as expected at this time, which again covers mainly Monday of this week. Let's see. And as I mentioned already in my previous week's predictions I already predicted like weeks ago for August 26th or 31st, I specifically predicted increase or concerns about the excessively wet weather, flooding, increased focus on the news about like oil, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, etc. And of course we had just had Hurricane Laura hit the US. We have ongoing flooding situation in China as well. Now, on the positive note, for the 31st, for Monday, for US, there may be increased and positive news related to like cars, retail sales, social media, airplanes, education, and businesses that relate to transportation and communication in general. And there, perhaps specifically those businesses actually may report increased sales or increased investments or some sort of improved circumstances that allow them to improve their earnings. Maybe they get like a tax break, or their stock prices go up, or they report that something maybe that was an issue before had now stabilized. And that's for US, and again primarily communication, transportation, education, retail sales, those areas. Then again for US, 31st of August and September 1st may see increased news on areas related to various what astrologically is Neptunian matters. So oil, gas, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, water, and again, excessive floods perhaps, or excessive precipitation, water pollution, excessive infectious diseases, but also pharmaceuticals or some vaccines or any drugs that actually treat diseases, and other news that might be coming up will involve, say, Navy, fisheries, prisons, lies, deceptions, hospitals, any sort of spying, hacking, as well as music, movies, photography. So any of these like visual arts or visual, I guess, tools that allow you to visualize something. So again, those are all sort of Neptunian domains, so that's why there's this long list. At the same time, they all kind of fall into the same category because they deal with visualizing something or kind of being sort of underwater or near water. And we did have, of course, the news like in US when Hurricane Laura hit, there was also immediately a chemical fire. And unfortunately, I guess for the areas that are experiencing either flooding or they're near some chemical plants or recycling plants or, any kind of chemical factories. Through the 1st of September, I would say there's an increased potential for these areas experiencing problems, like I said, with either more water, either pollution of some sort, or some chemical escaping. And of course, again, in terms of the business side of that, these companies may be more featured in the news on the 31st and the 1st of September. And again, there might be slight difficulties for those areas. Maybe the product doesn't sell as well, or maybe these companies are struggling with maybe a new product, something like that. So again, for US, the month of August is significant in general, and moving into sort of September, end of August through about September 6th, especially September 3rd and 4th, may see increased news about banks, financial institutions, earnings, assets of the banks like real estate, various financial policies, debt, rates, taxes, insurance, and loans. And there may be concerns about, again, manipulative activities or some illegal activities, hidden money, illegal payments, corruption, debt, bankruptcies, loss of earnings, and that may specifically come due to some regulations or some restrictions that are imposed by governmental authorities. There may also be arguments over funding, especially of police, military, or about perhaps funding, or that involves weapons, either purchasing them or setting aside to support, some sort of group of, military branch. And there may be arguments over funding or the costs that are associated with that. And indeed, there may be news of some large expense in that area. Maybe like some governmental authority makes a large purchase of some ammunition, and that may be seen as problematic. There may be protests against that. Like I said, before that might happen, there may be arguments over, why is it something costing too much, or is this really of good value? And then if such a purchase is indeed made, again, most likely by some either large corporation or governmental authority, there may be protests about that and concerns that, again, that is basically not the proper money spent improperly, too much money spent, the value is not there, etc. And I guess this could also involve potentially, I'm thinking, athletes, like maybe, or sports. So maybe one, athlete gets a raise and people are, thinking that it's not the right value, or there's a sale of a company or stock or something like that. Again, involves either sports or even sports clothing or anything like that. And that, again, there could be arguments and protests even associated with, concerns over the value or legality of such a transaction. There may also be news, again, for US, increased news about various like quotas, tariffs, some not problems, but concerns about these, say, import quotas somehow affecting earnings. So that is from, I would say, August 24th through about 6th of September, and especially expect such news around September 3rd and 4th. As I also previously mentioned, August is also a month of significance for China, and for China, the end of August is significant in terms of news about like oil, pharmaceuticals, gas, pollution, of water or with chemicals. Of course, the same list, of Neptunian sort of areas, excessive precipitation, water pollution, infectious diseases, drugs, medicines, religion, prisons, visual, tools, music, photography, etc. And for China, they have been experiencing already floods, of course, this year. And this year, they have floods every, year. But this particular year, it's been more significant, strongest floods in decades. And like I said, this week, it will continue, although maybe for the time being, for the next few weeks, things may get slightly better. However, there is still a great risk for China, in addition to maybe positive news in those areas that may come up. Maybe they come up with an announcement about, say, a vaccine for COVID, or that they're fighting against maybe some other infectious disease, and they have come up with some sort of treatment that effectively addresses that. However, one thing to note, and I put that in my blog at tolstunka.com, I updated a prediction that I made back in January, and that's in the section that covers my long-term predictions. So for China, I did predict not only just this week, but also this whole year, they will see strong emphasis on such news, like I said, excessive precipitation, flooding, problems with chemical pollution, water pollution, various infectious diseases, you name it. And I did post a prediction basically to clarify that we will unfortunately continue seeing these effects into, I would say, October, November, and December of this year, and they will maybe an even stronger sort of more, I guess, difficult situation, that things may maybe take a little, there may be a little break in, say, September. Things may calm down a little bit in terms of like the floods and even infectious diseases or whatever may be happening, maybe some sort of gas leak somewhere, or like I said, pollution. However, in October through December of this year, there may be another wave of, say, COVID or another kind of infectious disease, or more floods or mudslides due to just basically erosion of the soil, or some problems surrounding, navy, bodies of water, etc. And in particular, I would say in October, I would watch out for the week of October 12th. November is the week of November 9th, and then sometime mid-December, so second, third week of December, may be quite difficult. In addition to that, for China, during that time period, there will be increased probability of large earthquakes, mudslides, as I mentioned, and any other sort of disaster and accident that may involve old buildings, maybe like some ancient archaeological site, something that's like in the earth, in the soil, or maybe is a bridge, or a nuclear power plant, some large structure like a dam, of course, comes to mind. Recycling sort of facilities, underground storage facilities, waste storage, disposal kind of locations, as well as long distance transportation, such as maybe locations especially that are near, say, mountains or go underground, like a tunnel, or something that occurs near water, maybe like a railroad that goes near water or has to go underground or through the tunnel. So like I said, this is important for China this week still, like especially early in the week. Then maybe throughout September things may calm down a little bit, but then we'll pick back up in October, and then I would say high alert for China through December. But then something interesting that I looked up, of course, since these floods this year are being basically mentioned as strongest in decades, but then in 1931, of course, there was a very huge floods rather in central China, and those are considered to be one of the greatest natural disasters in the world. And then the next year in 1932, they actually had a major cholera outbreak in China as well. And when one looks at China's natal chart, astrologically, at that time, there was a difficult aspect to China's chart from Pluto, and that was a square. And so this year, in 2020, I guess it started from around 2018, but this year especially, it's very precise, and it will continue to be precise through the end of this year. We have a Pluto conjunct, that same point in China's chart that is associated with all of these kind of disasters, as well as specifically floods, spread of infectious diseases, and chemicals, pollution, dealing with waste, and other hospitals, prisons, and things that relate basically 12th house matters, which is kind of the end of the cycle, but things that are old, outlived, or things that were neglected for a long time, and now they kind of come and need to be dealt with. So that's just a little observation there for China. So moving back onto the individual days of the week. So for then Tuesday, September 1st, as I said, a down day for the market, but for September 1st through 3rd, I would look at, or rather I would expect, again, focus on finance, banks, etc. But there may be concerns about the decreased value or earnings of such institutions, maybe decreased flow of cash or problems with cash availability, or perhaps there are concerns about savings or assets like real estate or any other assets, perhaps something that was an investment and actually it's not doing so well, or concerns about the rates. And again, are banks and financial institutions able to make basically money, and are they stable? So that's September 1st through 3rd, and that's globally. And these news may make investors think about a little bit more realistically about their investments. So the mood September 1st through 3rd may be a little bit more practical. People may be thinking long term, and so those long term, more stable investments may be favored at that time, and specifically focus maybe on land or real estate investments, or bank stocks as well. Then on the 2nd of September, there may be increased news about like IT, telecommunication type companies, social media, aerospace, airplanes, electric vehicles, power generating companies, manufacturers of various electric gadgets, so any of these electronics, high-tech stuff, and also banks and financial institutions, but those specifically, either those institutions who are more heavily invested in various type of high-tech sort of solutions, or institutions that maybe are not invested yet but are looking to kind of up their game there, and or just general news about fintech or cryptocurrencies, transmitting information, was it virtually, but about financial data. So all of those may be in the news on the 2nd of September, and there may also be, those may be like maybe surprising, perhaps again, maybe an institution that's been somewhat more conservative or moving slowly suddenly announces that they're going to be jumping into this new solution that perhaps wasn't even tried or tested, or something that may move faster than expected. And the developments may be surprising or come faster than expected, and they also may involve governmental entities, such as governmental services, such as maybe a post office or mail delivery, as well as healthcare, and any such any companies that maybe are responsible, or their businesses bookkeeping, accounting. Again, this may be some sort of a innovation related to maybe using some technology or some innovative approach to perhaps calculate some sort of a data faster, about your taxes, or maybe data that's healthcare data that's now can be shared faster, or some sort of information can be calculated again with a new app or sent more securely. So it will be again something related to technology and specifically application to either like banking area, financial area, and or healthcare or governmental services, again something that's provided like mail delivery, or perhaps education, so online education, that could be another area. Let's see, and then for the 3rd and 4th of September, I don't have any specific notes, but I do have general notes for the sort of general influences for this week. So one of the influences is this background unfolding triple conjunction between Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto in Capricorn, and that will be with us again for some weeks and months to come, and that basically is associated with changes in the geopolitical sort of arena. So maybe old leaders retiring and moving away or being forced out of power. Of course, we have the situation with Belarus and Lukashenko trying to hang on to his power, being in president for I guess many years, and now there's a question whether or not there should be an election there. Of course, we just had the Abe from Japan, Shinzo, I think his first name is, sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right, that has been the Prime Minister of Japan, I believe, for again a long time, and he had to step down voluntarily because of health issues. So we had some announcements like that this entire year, and this will be again continuing. This probability of such strong leaders, powerful leaders being removed or stepping away will continue to be high this year, but also increased probability of earthquake, major shakeups at the corporations, maybe restructuring, all of that. All of these kind of events will remain high probability for this year, and for this particular week, the increased probability of such events occurring would be from 31st of August to the 3rd of September. And let's see, and as I was mentioning before, both on my blog at lostunka.com and on this channel, August is one of the, like, I would say, worst months. We're getting into this last month of August, but then in terms of just turmoil, protests, and various like problems, aggression and just accidents, etc. And the next month, I would say that might be similarly difficult would be November. So there may be a little bit of a break, but things in September, but then things may start kind of getting back into the kind of a difficult gear, so to speak, in November, so end of October into November. Let's see, then we have some I already mentioned some things to look out for if you are, say, have business in China or you're from China. Then again, weather-wise and these other issues, they may definitely come up again in October and pick back up in October through December, especially in November. That's globally and for China. Disasters, problems with water, etc. And related to this coronavirus outbreak, it's sort of along the same lines. There may be another wave of that coming again, and October through December for China, but November looks the worst, and that's also globally maybe a time where things may get worse before they get better. However, after that, after December, I believe there may be finally either a more clear path or a clear solution or some sort of final decision, say, now, okay, everything is open, we're kind of, most things can get back to how they were, and that would be, I would say, I would be looking for more towards January of 2021 for that. Although at the end of January also has some issues of its own, but we will not cover it here. And then finally, looking for oil prices or news about oil, I would be looking for September 10th through 12th for potential increased news related to oil, but also chemicals, pharmaceuticals, gas, navy, or could be like an oil rig somewhere, for example, or problems where maybe there's a problem with oil pollution or some important negotiations among oil, big producers, or perhaps, this pipelines that go underwater or pipeline leaking into the water, and that's causing a problem. But some project at that point, which is September 10th through the 12th, may stall, negotiations may stall, there may be concerns about environmental pollution, etc. And then subsequently, again, for news about oil, I guess, again, November of 2020 through about February of 2021 will be another important time. And after that, I'd say April of 2021, where will be again another big sort of a focus on oil prices and their effect on the economy. And on my blog at lostunka.com, I also posted yesterday a few just kind of highlights of what may be coming up in the future months. I mentioned September 10th through 12th, increased focus on oil, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, etc., flooding as well. September 14th and 15th, there may be increased focus on banks, finance, earnings, cryptocurrencies, forex, and gold. And there may be some volatility in those areas, especially forex and especially Euro-USD value. And gold and or possibly silver may go up at that time. Then again, November, especially second and third week of November, may see some increased focus on some sort of governmental negotiations among multiple countries, and or there may be some increased limitations, embargoes, tariffs, shortages, delays, or some reorganization at that time. And I would say around November 13th, plus minus a few days, may be a major top or bottom for the stock market. At this time, I think it may be a top. So if somebody is looking for a major direction change, I think it would be around mid-November. specifically around November 13th. And that may be associated again with some tensions between various countries. Maybe it's China and US, because both of those countries have some tense aspects to their chart at that time. And it may be again more discussions about tariffs perhaps, or some other problems. Let's see. And then finally, I guess, really sort of far away, but again, better to be prepared early than later. For US, the years 22 and 23 will be interesting and perhaps difficult, turbulent, chaotic, whatever words you want to use, but maybe transformational, I guess, times of reforms, and hopefully for the better. That would coincide with two major transits to US chart. One is a transit of Neptune through its fourth house, so it'll be just entering the fourth house, so conjuncting the sort of the so to speak lowest point of the chart, the most hidden, and having to do with like land, the homeland security, the sort of the family, the place of birth, the beginning. And of course we can think of things like Neptune, confusion, pollution, water, affecting things like real estate, borders, agriculture, farmlands, soil quality. So it could be literally water polluting farmlands, or it could be water maybe encroaching on some beaches or something, or some states losing land. There may be confusions about the state or other kind of boundaries, or some individual entities can be bickering about where the state or whatever their, the districts lines are, and who owns what land. There may also be problems with banks, because again, the banks, perhaps they're invested in various like real estate, etc. And some banks may find themselves literally underwater. So there will be a lot of confusion about sort of things that people thought were stable and they're used to it, and that safety and security, such as food security, for example. There definitely will be confusion about that, and those concerns may obviously, some of it may be real, but Neptune also kind of skews perception often. That's why it's water. Like underwater, one doesn't really see as clearly unless you're like a seal or something. But because of that, there may be some, panic or some confusion, and people may be overreacting because of that. So definitely, like I said, prepare ahead of time so that you're not confused and swayed by just, panic or whatever. At the same time, there will also be what's called the Pluto return. So the Pluto, where it was in the US chart when the US, I guess, was first founded, I guess the Constitution was written. But basically, whatever is the date where officially the 4th of July, the beginning of US, so to speak, its birth date, we will have Pluto going back to that same point in its chart. And so it will be a change, reform of those sort of basic, I guess, traditions or basic things, ideas or structures that were founded at that time. So indeed, maybe changes to the Constitution, or could be changes in the structures, who was in power, who is in power. Those powerful entities may be challenged to reform. And so if they reform voluntarily, it would be, a positive time where things that are outdated, no longer work for people, can be improved. However, if those old structures could be mainly governmental structures or like financial institutions that are too inflexible, too kind of greedy, that there may be a lot of anger and protests against that, because again, people will be craving that kind of a major change, not just change in terms of like some, just speeches, but rather true, genuine change. And that may, again, lead to changes in basically power structures. Who is in power? All leaders, again, may be removed or leave, or there may be also dismantling literally of some power structures, and that this could be especially related to like police, nuclear power, power plants, banks, anything that's been like is seen as really like a strong, powerful establishment with a lot of power. At that time, that just like what we've seen with Lukashenko, that somebody who was in power for a long time, and this could be an entire institution, their sort of power may be questioned, and if there's a reform, that things may go smoothly without too much, I guess, trouble, and things just will be refreshed, so to speak, with new views and new approaches, and serving kind of people even better than before. However, definitely a big time of change, and something to keep in mind when I guess making long-term plans for your life. So I hope that this was interesting and informative, and come back and check me out next time. I think, wait, I forgot one more thing. I guess I looked briefly at the election chart for, not election chart, but just the transit for the election date in the US, the 3rd of November, and I looked also just quickly at the charts of Biden and Trump, and again, I have no idea who's going to win, honestly, and I do see, however, that for Trump, just for his connection between his chart and the transit for the day, that he seems to be more prominently in the public eye for, better or worse, I have no idea. All I know is that for him it seems to be more kind of faded. So whether, he is removed or he is elected again or whatever ensues, subjectively for that person, for Trump in this case, that person may perceive more like something is happening to them, that's their faith. They will feel like, okay, this is my, what is life telling me, and I'm gonna go with that. Other than that, I don't know exactly what might happen. I do see that, like I said, for Trump, it just seems to be a little bit more meaningful in terms of him being in a public eye or surrounded by a large group of people. That's usually what a similar transit would indicate if it was just a lay person. So I guess that's it. That's finally all of the predictions for me for this week, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.